Hey, what's up, PTX fam? This is our weekly Alpha Monday AMA. I am Shiblor, joined by Bran and CK up here on the stage. I see Sally in the audience as well, so shout out to the core team there. Hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic day on this September 12th, 2022, or September 13th if you are in the Australia and New Zealand region. We have a ton to go over today, a lot of great information, a lot of good progression from the last week, and also plenty of things here to come as we start navigating towards our upgraded aspects of the Protocol X. I do want to stress again that everything is fundamentally, the vision has remained the same. It's just we are now going to make this a better, bigger, and more authentic project and allow us to really kind of differentiate ourselves from many in the space. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing, CK and Bran?
Not too bad, thank you very much. Just been, as you all know, we've just been working in the background, just been going at it, faced with a quote unquote a few problems. However, problems are always good challenges to have. It just allows you to adapt and change and grow. So yeah, super excited for things to come.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just getting over being sick, so that's a good thing. Excited to see our progress being made with the NFTs and the app that we have going on, and excited for the future.
Yeah, so that kind of leads us right in there. So for all of you who are joining, if you did not, please go check the community announcement. I think it's 2 or 3 ago at this point, where we do have a little bit of a rebranding mechanism. So again, we did talk a little bit about this last week, but I want to also really dig into the fact here that we're not changing everything, for example. So we're still Protocol X. The token will still be called PTX. There's no additional buying involved. We are going to switch contracts and we're just going to airdrop you guys the new token and we'll kind of go into what you can do with it from there. But the main reason that we're doing that is that we've definitely learned a little bit about the different listing agencies in the world, and mostly due to some malicious or otherwise ill-intentioned projects of the past. But being a direct rebase protocol is definitely not in the advantageous method right now as we are navigating through some things. So we are implementing a couple changes, a couple major upgrades to the contract. One, the PTX contract is going to make that PTS token not a direct rebase token. Very, very important for us to get listed on CMC and CoinGecko. And alternatively to that, if you guys did not notice, we have also reduced the buy tax down to 4%. So it was 13%. Now it's down to 4%. Once we get the upgraded contract launched, and we are working with the developers and the front end guys to get that going here as soon as possible, we're going to reduce the sales tax as well. So it will be a buy in sales tax, 4% buy tax, and 8% sales tax. And then all you have to do is once we airdrop you that PTX token, you navigate to our DApp. You will what we are calling enhance your token, which will exchange your PTX 1 for 1 of ePTX, and then everything else remains the same. That same daily APR, 10% reduced per month over that 12 months. Everything from there is the same. There is one more step involved, and that's simply to enhance your PTX. But that also cleans up some of the other aspects of the protocol, including now not having to have a wrap token. We can avoid that whole element from the ecosystem and allow you guys to interact with the X swap and the other functionalities directly with ePTX. So that does solve some problems, makes it a little bit simpler for those to engage with the protocol. Of course, if you guys have any questions during this entire AMA, please just simply request to speak, raise your hand. We'll bring you up here live or post away in the AMA questions channel. We'll answer your questions for you. So those are the biggest things. We have a color rebrand. We have a contract upgrade. We have the NFTs already in progress. We have the contracts done for XSwap and the lottery, I think. We have a lot of great stuff going on, a lot of good professional teams working with us here to get a lot of big updates going.
Yeah, no, I'll just touch base on that as well. And another good thing about the base token not being a rebase token, I think it's something people have kind of glossed over a little bit, is that we're able to set variable APRs. So I know you guys are quite familiar with long-term holding and benefit, like quote unquote diamond handling, right? So there's two things. So a rebase token, in essence, is just an analogy for auto compounding. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to completely migrate away from using the word rebase token. What we want to use is auto compounding and enhancing. Now, the reason why we've changed to enhancing is because we think just calling it staked PTX is a bit of an understatement, for multiple reasons, right? So PTX won't just be a staking token. PTX will have other, future builds to it. So enhancing your PTX sounds way better than staking your PTX. The reason why is because we obviously have the passageways as well. So what we don't want to do is limit ourselves, and people get confused. Oh, why am I using staked PTX to buy X keys, or why am I using staked PTX to lock? Or so what we just don't want to get we don't want to cause any confusion. So you will be enhancing your base PTX. Now, just to clarify, PTX will still be the original token that is listed on platforms. So I know there was a lot of confusion about will we be listing CMC for ePTX, or will we be listing enhanced PTX? No, we'll be listing the original PTX. Now, with regards to enhancing, it's a really straightforward. The contract's going to be super gas efficient. It's not going to cost much at all. It's going to cost, a couple of cents to stake and claim your PTX. So it's going to be very, you're not going to notice it. I mean, if anyone ever has an issue with not being able to afford it, I'll happily help you out for the couple of cents if needed. But the really good thing about it, right, is with the base of PTX not being a staking token, what we're able to do is we're able to move that into other places. So we're able to, put that onto a bridge. We're able to use it for other use cases without the token rebasing. For example, if it was to be used for a gambling token, if it was to be used for gamification. So that token essentially can be used for many, many things, right? You can bridge that out and have a new contract for gaming or, gambling as such. Because what we don't have now, and this is one thing that I want to really stress, is that you don't have the randoms. And what I mean by the randoms is you don't have that random inflating supply. So essentially, with a rebase token, right? If you have a 1.77% daily APR, effectively that token's going to rise at 1.77%, correct? However, the thing that makes us more sustainable now is that not every single token will rebase, which not only stops inflated supply, it also stops supply going to waste as well. So to people that don't even know, they have a couple of PTX left over, that rebasing for a year, and then never being touched again. So essentially, when you enhance your PTX, that will be the contract that essentially allows your token to rebase. Now, only the tokens that are enhanced will rebase when staked. Just holding it won't stake them. Now, another cool feature about the contract is it doesn't mint automatically. It mints based on the amount of tokens in the pool, which will then increase the supply based on that. So you're not just going to have every month the token doubles in value, the token doubles in supply. Now, another cool feature is there's not going to be a generic burn wallet. Now, what I mean by that is when you burn tokens, it's not just going to be sent to another wallet. Another cool feature of the contract is now when we burn tokens, it will be completely removed from the supply. So not only will that be trackable, it won't actually show up as total supply still. So we're able to then completely, literally nuke tokens. So for example, if the total supply on BSC scan said 60 million, and we go, hey, we're burning 10,000 tokens, it will actually say on BSC scan there's only 50 million tokens left, which is another cool feature. So it stops all that generic burn wallet stuff, which is really, really cool. And yet there's so much more to come. I mean, I can ramble on for ages about what's going on. But Shib, I'll pass it back to you if there's anything you want to talk about before I ramble for a bit too much.
Yeah, so that's a couple of the big things there. There's a lot of things going on. I do again want to encourage you guys to ask questions. We do have somebody's hand raised here. I'll go into financial reports and other good stuff here in a little bit as well. But yeah, we'll kind of keep just piecing it through back and forth here. But let's first bring up people live to speak because I do like prioritizing you lads, and I don't think you've been up here. So Non Ye FX. Once you accept this invitation, you will be back up on our stage live if you do accept it, pending filibustering. If you'd like to come up, there you are, and you are live with us. How's it going?
It's going very well.
Yep, we can hear you just fine. What can we help you with?
My question is based. Are you listening?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So what's I don't really understand what you've been talking about.
I think you might have cut out there a little bit. What was, and then we just said you want to understand what we're talking about. So what are you asking?
I really want to get the recap.
Okay, we didn't have a recap yet because we just started. Do you have a specific question that we can answer? All right. Hey,
I'm gonna bring you down. Not yeah, there we go. Not for any reason, but yeah, we haven't gone through a recap yet. So if you're still confused, feel free to ask a question at the end of the AMA if there's anything still confusing. But yeah, we're happy to help if you've got any questions. If you're directly confused about anything specifically, let us know because we'll happily answer. I know there's a lot going on, and there was a comment last night that was made in main chat that was like, "There's too much going on." My comment to that is that there is never a happy medium. There's either not enough going on or there's too much going on. The best thing that we're doing is that, albeit there's a lot going on, not everything will be released at the same time. Now, one of the main things, and I've said it quite a few times, is we're very, very aware of project dilution and there not being enough holders to maintain the products you release, right? So we're not silly. Now, the best thing that we're doing is we're getting everything built. So once we have a structured release plan, we have it there. So if it needs to be released, we can release it. If it doesn't need to be released, we can schedule it. So then what that does, it allows for the entire X amount of time for there to be content for you guys. For an example of this is right, you don't buy an unfinished game. If you purchase the game and you could only play, say, the tutorial for the first 6 months, you're going to get bored. However, if they say, hey, here's the tutorial, but in a couple of months or a couple of weeks, we're going to keep releasing content, then eventually you're going to keep going back to the game, right? So it's a strategic way of not only making sure you guys aren't waiting 1 week for one thing, 6 months for another thing, 12 months for another thing. We're able to schedule and bring you content that will constantly develop your bag and be beneficial to your bag. Now, it's very easy for us to develop everything and then drop it on the same day. However, who's going to care? If you don't have that holder base and you don't have them foundations, we could release a blockchain. What's the use of releasing a blockchain if only 400 people are using it? Am I right? So there is a very structured release plan. So yes, there is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. If I'm completely honest with you, I think in the last week or so, about 20 contracts have been made. We've got the D app being completely reskinned. I dropped some of that in the teasers if you haven't had a look. We've got all the UI being implemented. We've got Wox building completely from scratch all of the new social medias, the shilling packages, the white paper, everything. Now, one question I had was, why did you do the color change? Now, there's many, many reasons why we did the color change. One is it's a new era for PTX. It allows everyone, including ourselves, to differentiate the new information and the old information. What we don't want is people who have old documents saved, reusing them or relying on them. All agreed, as well as us, that the red is a bit abrasive. So, with regard to it being abrasive, they said that it signifies a lot of anger, and you've got to think of this in a psychological term. Our biggest thing, and I think Shib can agree, is we're not going to sit there and try to outsmart professionals. If a professional company who has been doing this for multi years and has, decades of experience in the field is telling you something is affecting your website, then we're going to make the change that they recommend unless we see, negative impact from it. So that's why we've gone for the royal colors, which are really, really nice. I'm really excited for them. And also, we are going to be having a new domain. So at this current time, we're posted on protocol-x.io. A new domain will be released in due course, and it will only be available in the official links and announcements. So don't click any random links from any, random people unless they're an admin or a mod that is posting the links, but we'll make sure that's announced. One reason for the new domain is to help SEO and to help Google awareness. because the dashes in the domains and the .ios aren't highly recognized by Google Analytics or SEO. So it really doesn't help when you're trying to get up there and out there, especially when there's so many crypto projects, right? But there is a couple of hands raised, so I'll stop waffling. T Money has his hand up. If you want to come up and speak, I'll bring you up now. I've requested you to speak, so if you just want to accept that and unmute.
Hey guys, as far as like buying goes, now we buy the new contract PTX and then enhance those each time we buy.
Essentially, yes. So you'll purchase PTX. Say, for example, you bought if you bought $100 of PTX, you would only pay 4% buy tax. Now you'll go into the app, which will be released. T Money, if you could just mute your mic, sorry, I've got a lot of feedback. One second.
I muted him. You can keep going.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you purchase PTX, you'll pay a 4% buy tax. Now, we are still discussing about what the starting APR will be on release, because obviously we are decreasing. However, we're yet to confirm if we want to continue from what it was from day one. I think Shib may know different, or continue the APR. However, it doesn't make much of a difference. It will take 3 days maximum to earn back your buy tax, which is quite incredible, and it'll take under 4 days to earn back your sell tax as well. So once you've purchased PTX, you'll go into the D app. It will be one click of a button and then authorizing the transaction, and then it will stake it for you. It will be very, very gas efficient, and it will cost hardly anything for you to do. The reason why we've obviously touched base on this before is that CMC and CoinGecko, we've gone through many, many, many avenues of trying to get this done. That's why it took a long time. They're just not having it anymore. We don't know why. We've tried multiple ways. However, we've spoken to professional development teams who have released over 1,500 tokens, and they've advised this is the best way to do it. And we totally agree. Not only does it future-proof the contract, it also makes it a bit cleaner for everyone, especially if there's an all-in-one place D app for you to go for X shares, for staking. Essentially, it's not going to be too much of a ball ache when you're going to be using it anyway to check your stats, to check your rebases, to check everything. It's going to be a go-to location to be anyway. So staking as such won't be much of a problem if you're invested and you're interested in your balances. You'll be able to see that all live on the D app.
All right.
Process or an unstaking process.
You were muted there for a second, T Money, so we missed that question.
As far as like the selling side of it goes, do we have to unenhance that token back to the original PTX, or is there a process to go through to be able to do that?
Yeah, so if you do want to sell or whatever the case might be, all you simply do is you go to that same DApp and you exchange your EPTX for PTX, and whatever you've accumulated, you'll get that additional PTX tokens, and then you're good to do whatever you'd like from it from there. There's no limitations to that or anything. You could just exchange right back to PTX, and then you're free to do whatever you choose.
I believe another feature in the contract, but I will have to confirm, is that you'll just be able to send your EPTX to yourself, and that will automatically exchange it for BNB. So you won't actually have to use PooCoin or Bogged. You will just send the tokens to yourself. Send in all the tokens to yourself. We'll activate a feature which will sell the tokens for you instead of you having to open your D app, go all the way to a exchange. But I will confirm that, and I know that was definitely something that was going to be introduced. However, I will confirm the exact details of that so no one's confused, and it will obviously be included in any announcements. But yeah, a lot of cool features on the contract for sure. I will bring up Eldir Boma. I know he had a couple of questions yesterday, so it's nice to see him here. So I'm going to invite you to speak. Feel free to come up and unmute your mic.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you just fine. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys? So, don't you guys think that we should reschedule the AMA with James Pelton tomorrow until we finalize this new contract changes?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's one that we had a little internal discussion about. The downside of that is that it's been rescheduled. I mean, multiple times already. I've worked with James in the past. We're getting our white paper put together. That'll have all the updated information and the updated color scheme ready to go. And we're good enough to reference off that. Brad and I can talk over what's happening and what the changes are and everything like that. And if they want to navigate to the website, just as easy. I don't think it's really a time precedent issue. I think still it's the same vision, and all we're doing is rebranding about how it exactly works. So I'm not overly concerned about that. We did have a discussion over it, but I think we'll be okay putting it out there tomorrow. James' audience kind of knows me from other stuff anyway, so I like working with them.
Okay, guys. Okay, thanks, Jim. Makes sense.
I appreciate you, man. Got another good question coming up here from Eric Project X. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing well here.
So awesome. So over the past couple AMAs, you kind of have suggested what you think the LMS range might be. Obviously, haven't committed to anything. With the price where it's at, is your mindset that you're still committed to a certain range, like a minimum that you want to have installed, or is it kind of gonna drift or change based on price action?
So it literally has to drift or change on price action. So for anyone who does not know, an LMS is not a magical system that just keeps token prices within a range no matter what. It needs money in a pool in order to sustain that price action, right? So if I were to set a price range of 0.05 to 0.08 and we're not even at 0.05, well, then it's already failed. It literally cannot and will not operate from there. So it has to be derived off of what current prices of the token are. And if anything, if anyone tries differently, quite frankly, it'll be a waste of the contract. So as token price moves up and or down, that does change the direct numbers of the range, but still the amount between the range, I'm going to remain pretty consistent. And again, we'll base that off of where the token price is, but also we'll add more to the LMS pool via some of our additional revenue streams like the trade bots as well. So we have multiple sources of income kind of helping out with that pool. I've always talked about how I want like a rising floor model over time, for which we'd have to have a good amount of money put into that LMS mechanism, obviously over the next multiple months and ideally years to really bolster that accordingly. And that's kind of my purpose with it from there. I know everyone just wants to look at Horde and say, this is what an LMS does. They're the only one that only has an LMS working for them that actually is able to obtain that because that was their model from day one. Anyone else who has multiple things working for them, you literally cannot sell out on it or else you will fail. LC was the latest big dog to do that, and they failed, obviously. So we're going to take some examples from those who have succeeded and failed in the past and find a way to orchestrate it so it actually does its job, even if it might not be the most positively perceived range from the community. I need to make sure that it works, because if it doesn't work, then perception honestly doesn't really matter, because everyone will jump ship when it would ultimately fail if you set it up to fail.
Yeah, thanks, Jib. Just wanted to set expectations so no one was thinking that just because the range was set in the past that's they should be expecting moving forward. Rather see it work than, just see a number that everyone likes.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I know whenever I talk about the LMS, I pretty much say, hey, this is going to change. It's going to be dependent. But if the theoretical, it were to launch this second, this is what it would be. That's how I try to word it. So ideally people don't get misconstrued. But I think we all know a lot of people will just take that little snippet and take that as facts. And then they'll be like, hey, you said this at one point. And, it is what it is. I've had that happen before too, but I'm not too worried about it. We'll use the LMS accordingly to help it do its job, of course, but we're not going to, honestly, we're not going to bankrupt the theory of the LMS or the protocol itself by trying to overpromise of what an LMS can deliver in general.
All right, thanks, guys. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Eric.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I think, one good thing mentioned here is as well that one thing I don't like about projects, and, everyone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, is using one point as your selling point. I think with a project, it's a project for a reason, right? People should turn up to your website, look at your white paper and go, holy crap, that's interesting. Now, that's one thing we're setting out to do. Now, the biggest problem I think we faced with PTX, and I'll be completely honest, was the high buy and sell tax. Now, you can compare us to other rebase projects, right? and say, hey, but they don't have any problem with buy and sell tax. You'd actually be wrong. If you look into these projects actually, and you look on holder to sort of volume ratio, right? You'll actually see, albeit they may have more volume, that's not new investors coming in. That's the existing rebase holders who are used to the ecosystem topping up their bags. You'll actually see a lot of these projects, they don't, in recent times, they haven't really increased in holder counts to a max, to a crazy standard without there being external airdrops or events that cause people to get mass amounts of tokens. The general consensus for high tax tokens is very, very low because there's so many alternative tokens now where you can earn high yield by not paying high tax. Now, I think that is sort of a mistake we made, and we're very, very open to admitting that things can be better, right? Now, that's one thing that we're doing all the time, and there was a comment made yesterday in main chat, and it was like something along the lines of having to change things and adapt, which I completely understand. However, some of these projects that are still established today are still living in their own ways. They're not adapting to the current times. If you're looking at the market and you're seeing a specific trend regarding high tax tokens, and also that they're being shunned by specific platforms, then all you're doing by keeping the current token is stumping growth. Albeit, and it goes back to the original plan, we could make an insane game or an insane blockchain, but if no one is there to support the main currency, then you're selling a diamond to an empty shop. So I don't know. I understand things could have gone smoother. Let's not, yes. But the best thing is that anytime we've had a problem, not only has it increased our passion as a team, it's also increased the actual scope of the project. Now, you could take this all the way back to previous projects, right? You start with a main goal, and over time, you think, you adapt new ideas, you discuss with other teams, you grow, you talk with the current team, and you go, hey, actually, this is a good idea. Now, one major focus, and if you watch back to the first AMAs with our token, I always spoke about sustainability. And that was one thing that I'm very, very passionate about, because unlike other teams, and you can see by the team taking pay decreases, I would much rather this be a long-term job, which we can work on for years to come, than to, as many others do in this space, take advantage, have an insane amount of pay, and the project dies in a couple of weeks. Because I actually, and the team actually, see the long-term benefits of DeFi, right? There's a lot of good to come from DeFi. And one of the things I said today is you're a lot luckier trying to build a project in DeFi rather than trying to do it in the real world. Now, what I mean by that is DeFi has a lot of support. There's a lot of, if there wasn't scammers in this space, DeFi would be so much bigger than what it is. But having the ability to have you guys here with us on the journey, obviously the project gets funded in the crowdfund sense, we're able to build and actually grow what we want to build. Now, there's so many projects that raise multi millions of dollars, right? Insane pre-sales. I just want to stress that not only are the entire team being paid for their work, not only is marketing being paid for, not only is the token getting extra liquidity added to it, we are actually building our entire roadmap as we speak. Now, to some people that doesn't seem impressive, because our roadmap may not be impressive to you, or our roadmap may not be crazy to you. But when you compare this to other projects, and I'm not going to say other projects in general, but I mean, if you look at other projects and see how quickly they build things or what their timeline looks like, you'll see that they may have raised millions and millions of dollars, but they're still yet to be at a advantageous stage in their project where they've got things being developed. So that's one thing that I think separates us from other projects, is the fact that not only have we gone, hey, this is the upgrade we're going to make, we're going to lower the buy tax so people can get in because we had a request for it. But we're actually, even when we've got situations with the current token, we're still building around it. Nothing stopped. So even though PTX had to be upgraded, not a single thing in the ecosystem slowed down. XSwap didn't slow down. The NFTs didn't slow down. PUSD didn't slow down. Everything is full steam ahead. The new websites come in. So just because you see a problem from the facial of everything doesn't mean there actually is a problem. And that just goes back to me saying that I'm actually really, really happy certain problems have happened, because we wouldn't be where we are today. This new contract that we have, we're hoping, touch wood, it will be our final contract, and I'm extremely excited for it. The team we're working with, the app, they're actually sending us daily updates for the app. We saw the website over the weekend with the team that we're working for the website, and the features that we're adding to it, and it looks unbelievable. Compared to our current website, our website at the minute looks like trash, and that's no offense to anyone, but the upgrades that we're having and the things we're doing to try and better the token is just super exciting. And there's so much to come. But I will stop rambling. I do it all the time. But yeah, there's a lot to come, and everything is still being built. Don't think just because, hey, they need to upgrade PTX, there's going to be more delays. That's not the case. There's not going to be any more delays. Nothing that I know of anyway. But we're building. We're excited. There's a lot of things to come. I mean, the Dex itself is already partnered with Assure DeFi. And there's so much more to come. Everything's building in the background. We're growing, and I'm super excited for it all.
We have a lot of great information there. So again, if you guys do have questions, please do us a favor. Simply ask those questions under the AMA questions tab or raise your hand. I'll kind of take this time to go into a little bit of the financial report. So as Brandon was just mentioning, the entire thing that we ran on, the entire platform that we've literally ran that relatively successful pre-sale on, was that of everything that we're currently building and also the outside revenue sources. So I did put up let's see if I could find it here. In the financial updates, I did put the latest updates of the finances of the different trade bots that we've been utilizing here. Just to go over each and every one of them, if you guys do not see, we have the Ego trade bot did lose, unfortunately, 6% during the last month, mostly during the FOMC meeting when most of the bots got wrecked, to be honest. It just is what it is. That's what happens there. We have a Bitcoin swing bot that gained 9.57% over that last about week and a half that I'm utilizing as a piece of data. We have an ETH swing bot that gained 87.93%. And I will give kudos to myself because I put that thing in along myself and went against the actual strategies that were built into it. So shout out to that there. I'll take it. And then we have an ETH scalp one that's up 34.4% as well. So a lot of good progress in the last about week and a half of those different trading bots. Now, obviously, the totality of the money gained was 4.85%, and that's incorporating the difference of value for each bot incorporated into it, and then also the losses associated with it. So it's going very well. I did remove the Avalanche and Solana, some of our alt bots, mostly because they just, quite frankly, they just seem to be catching the wrong strategies. ETH and Bitcoin would go into the long, and they'd go into a short. It was causing me just a little bit of discomfort. Now I'm trying to, observe which ones are doing the wrong things, and it was pretty apparent which ones were. So we got rid of those, put money where they needed to go, kind of put some more into the Bitcoin side because that's doing pretty well. So lots of good updates there. That is all working accordingly. What we're going to have here coming up is we should have an updated white paper that we can debut tomorrow on the James Pelton AMA. There'll be some updated things to come out with that. We'll have a description of each and everything here. I do have a Prezi working on, which is basically like an interactive presentation, like an interactive, PowerPoint more or less, that I'll really allow it to break down all the different aspects of the protocol, because I do know people have said there's so much going on, it is too complicated, I can't figure it out. Well, this should help with that. You'll just simply go through this in a little slide-by-slide series. You don't have to read a ton of information, and it just helps you grasp how each and every aspect of the protocol works in and with each other. So, with that being said, here we'll start answering some questions from the AMA questions tab. Of course, if you guys do have questions, simply request to speak, post them away in the AMA questions channel, and we will answer them for you. So let me see when's the last. All right, so we have some questions about the airdrop, I think. Yep, will airdrop be 1-to-1 or will I change tokenomics? So it will be one-to-one. PTX will still be the name PTX. It'll just be a different contract. All you have to do is add that contract address to your MetaMask or your wallet of choice that you are utilizing, and that's where it'll be displayed. It'll be the exact same tokenomics. We're going to make it so the price is identical or within probably 0.0001, just a little bit of margin of error when we add that LP over to the new contract side. So it'll be the same thing there. All we're doing is just changing how the token works, but everything is going the same way. Let's see. Next one here from Sony Siege. Basically, ePTX won't have its own LP if we swap ePTX to PTX and vice versa when harvesting and staking. So yes, that's true. ePTX does not need to have its own liquidity because it is basically just the rebased and the functionality token for PTX. Now, if we were to do things like have some different pools built in, different liquidity pools built into a variety of different tokens that we utilize there, that'll obviously then build an LP of that token. But at the first and foremost, like Brand mentioned, all you have to do is send that token to yourself. I think we are pretty sure that's going to be how it'll work, and that'll sell it and exchange it for BNB. Or you could just simply swap it back for PTX, and then you could sell it from there. Relatively easy, relatively simple to engage with. It'll all be very, very open and not hidden through our DEP. And then Sony She says, why brand sounds so sad about the problems?
No, I'm not sad. If I'm completely honest with you, I'm tired. There's a lot going on. Now the thing is that I'm not sad at all, and I think I'm completely opposite. I'm really, really excited. I mean, the amount of things coming are extremely bullish, in my opinion. Now I see all behind the scenes, so my representation of the project may be different to other people, right? Because I see all the background work, we put in the legwork, we make the decisions and build, right? But from an investor point of view, I look at this, and when I've been in other projects, I sit here and think to myself, this is what I would have loved to see from these projects. The background, the actual growth, and you've got to also be in mind that we're only a couple of weeks in. We're not long into this project at all. And to have the entire ecosystem being built, in my opinion, is extremely bullish. I mean, we've got, we had PTX and Wrap PTX, and that's one thing as well, is that with PTX not directly being the rebase token, essentially that plays the same method that PTX and Wrap PTX would have. Well, it doesn't initially, but we can put that into a factor where you could have a staking pool which rebases, but also you can farm in. So you can pair your token, add that to the farm, and it will rebase while rewarding you in X amount. So there's a lot of possibilities with PTX. Not only can you use it outside of the rebasing genre, you can use it to have different vaults, different bonds, which is something that we were looking to introduce, where you can lock your PTX for an X amount of time for a higher APR or a set APR. So if you go, hey, I want to lock my PTX for a year, we're then able to go, hey, okay, so this is the APY you're going to get for that set time. Now, if you don't lock it, you can have this and it will decrease over the year. So what that does, it prioritizes the diamond handlers and people who actually believe in the long term. So you will receive X amount of APY over the year. But if we keep it unlocked, you can sell whenever you want, right? You're able to sell, you're able to buy X keys. But if you say, and one thing that a lot of projects tend to do is, well, as an investor myself, is you have one wallet that you lock and one wallet that you keep unlocked. And this is not financial advice. This is what I do from time to time if there's bonding or staking options. And a lot of people here may have done it themselves in recent times in projects like Orb, where you lock it for a set amount of time and it gives you a set amount of APR. Now, that's one way of rewarding people for diamond handing. I know myself included, I'm going to lock my PTX when that option is there, because I'm not going to sell my PTX anyway. There's too many possibilities of, PUSD and staking rewards and passive income, and obviously X shares, which I can use my PTX for. So even as a team member, you have to remember there's a team allocation, right? And our goal is to go, hey, I don't want to sell these tokens. I can't sell these tokens. I'm not going to dump these tokens on the community. There is not a chance. So, how can we give these tokens value to where we can also make passive income with the holders? We can grow with the holders, we can earn with the holders, and we can all benefit from it. Instead of being a greedy development team and saying, I want $5,000 a week or $10,000 a week in bonuses and stuff like that, we're able to say, hey, let's work extremely hard. We've got the foundations. Now we can make a bunch of money with the community once that's all released. And I think that's a very, very important aspect is being completely transparent. Everyone in this space wants to make money, right? I don't spend 20 hours a day in crypto just for the fun of it. No one does. Everyone is in this space to make money. Businesses always want to make money. The CEOs, the workers, they all want to make money. But doing it in a way that can benefit everyone is extremely important. Doing it in a way that morals aren't affected, that you're not, at the end of the year, I want us to be in a place where, touch wood, even if the project does die, which is a possibility, a lot of projects die, we can still sit there and say we have released our entire roadmap and more. And if that is due to the current climate of the DeFi space or the current climate of auto compounding tokens, we'll always be there to upgrade, in advance, and enhance. And that's one of the reasons why we used the wording enhance, is because you're going to be enhancing your X shares to get better rewards. You're going to be using your enhanced PTX to burn it and then buy X keys. And as I said, when you burn, it won't just go to a generic burn contract. You're actually just going to remove it from circulation completely. So yeah, in a nutshell, we're working day and night. I know projects say that, a lot. Oh, we're working day and night, but we actually are working day and night to get things sorted. There's multiple teams working at the minute to get everything done. One question that hasn't been addressed is when will we be relaunching? Now, Shib can obviously have a different opinion, but the opinion that I've got is I don't want to scuff a launch. Now, we've already had a lot of learning points in our current launch, and what I don't want to do is release the token, especially when it's a bit confusing. Let's be realistic, it's not a simple token you just buy. There's a lot to the ecosystem. So we want to have at least a base website completed, which won't include obviously all the X shares and all the fancy graphics. It will be a high quality website, don't get me wrong, but the website is going to be a work in process where we can add information about PUSD, X shares, and etc. when the time's right. So we want the complete layout, somewhat done for PTX. So I don't want anyone having to go reading the website, reading the white paper, and still being confused. We want people to be as confident as possible. And I think that's easy to do by making sure that the release is smooth. Mark, who's building all the contracts, is building ways for that to run as smooth as possible with airdrops. The supplier will start whenever we leave off from. So everything will be completely smooth. For holders, all you have to do is, add the new contract address. But the best thing is that you don't have to wait until the new PTX to buy PTX. That's why we've lowered the buy tax to 4%. Not only have we seen good results from that already, we've actually seen an increase in holders, albeit marginally. Just lowering that buy tax, there's already people who, even in the community now, sat on the side and go, hey, I have a little bit of spare money. You know what? I want to buy more. Because we understand that them high taxes are killer. I know myself. So we had to make sure that it was sustainable, that the project can do it without eating itself alive. And that's exactly what we did. It took a bit of more planning than expected. But now we're set that we can actually run these taxes, and they will run. And the last thing before I stop babbling, they will run in a different way to regular taxes. So with regards to regular taxes, they buy and sell on taxes all route to a contract which will sell and split between different routers to the wallets, i.e. the LP, the buyback and burn, the X shares. This new contract will only do that on sells. The reason being is because they're selling anyway. So that sell will do it on sells, but won't do it on buys. Now, the taxes from buys will all be in PTX. So everything will be in PTX and won't need to be sold. So even on buys, you're not going to have that negative contract selling pressure, which is really, really good. So that's another little update on the taxes. But you can purchase PTX now at 4% tax. Feel free to try it out. Obviously, not financial advice, but that's fully tested and working, so you don't have to worry about being taxed 13%. And obviously, when the new contract comes into play, that will drop to 4.8. But we're not doing that at the moment because we want to wait till migration and make sure everything's smooth before we completely lower the taxes without affecting the protocol.
Yeah, so again, a lot more great information there. So lots of big things happening behind the scenes, which I love. So let's see. All right, we got a couple more questions. Let me make sure that no one's raising their hands. All good on this end. Okay, this is a great question actually that, OX Clown is bringing up here, right? So if everything funnels into PUSD, then selling that token will not hurt the chart or drop the value for other holders. In fact, it'll actually increase the price for other holders of PUSD. It's a great thing to implement. So I do want to stress one very, very important differentiating thing here is obviously there is an algorithmic backed BUSD token in PUSD, but that still has to have buys and sales from somewhere. So I cannot just say you stake EPTX and then just receive PUSD without there being something in the middle selling to obtaining BNB and then exchanging BNB for PUSD. Now there's ways to do it there, and I think we can try to figure out different ways to utilize that EPTX mechanism for it. But on the most basic fundamental aspect, that PUSD is going to be used for payouts of the NFTs, which that is very easy to figure out because instead of it coming in as BNB and getting distributed, all it's doing is this wallet that I have that'll be selling the BNB, exchanging for PUSD, will effectively be buying it, and then it'll be distributed to the holders. Now, there's a 2% buy, 2% sale, and 2% transfer tax. So we'll obviously exempt that wallet from doing so. But like you just mentioned, if you do decide to hold your PUSD, it will gain value over time by that algorithmic backed system, if that system works obviously as designed. Not financial advice. The whole world could explode and it couldn't work. Who the heck knows? But that is how it's designed to work. Obviously, we can incorporate that very, very easily with the XSwap tokens, the farm tokens. And then ideally, I'm going to have a system where maybe you pool two tokens together. Now, this would be very, very important, right? So if we pool two tokens together, we can implement some effect of a sale, whether it's with the farm token of XSwap or some other element of, some stable coin or some system involved in there that'll then allow it to distribute PUSD while directly connecting to EPTX. Because ideally I want to have it so you lock up EPTX and you can receive some sort of a stable reward back, but obviously for that to happen, there has to be a buy and sell effect into place. That's going to be for kind of us to figure out on our own and on our side there. But if anyone does have suggestions, obviously please throw it out there and I'll be more than happy to look into it, of course. And maybe that's just as simple as, instead of maybe we just supply a little bit of that pool, right? And we can define it from there. Maybe we utilize XSwap and you stake, whatever the case might be. You find some mechanism to incorporate that farm token to sell, and then it provides that PUSD involving an EPTX lock. There's a variety of different ways to kind of look at it. We'll definitely go over each and every one to make sure we can get the best one going. But that is my goal, of course. We can't just mint the tokens out of thin air. It's just what I want to stress while we are going into that conversation. But yeah, fantastic comment there, and that allowed me to kind of dive a little bit deeper into how that PUSD works, which I love to do. Again, we will have a very good explanation of how these tokens work because it's, even when I was first going over it, I'm like, this doesn't make any damn sense. I got no idea what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. So it does take, I read over some examples. I did some research on it. So I will get this Prezi to give out a good, step-by-step. And I think the white paper, I have it in there as well. So the examples for it will be very clear, ideally, for people to go into. And of course, if anyone has questions, they could just simply ask. We will answer that accordingly. All right, so another good question here from OX Clown that we almost missed. Will we have the ability to change the rewards in the lottery system? I think there's a good opportunity to make it really interesting with items swapping out each week, like an item shop in a game. What's the chances that there might be physical prizes? So we'll have to work with Mark to see how it's set up. I know right now the current tokenomics of the lottery are designed for it to utilize the fees associated with the swap, and that'll be what'll be funneling into the lottery. I'll kind of work with him. I know it's an upgradable lottery contract, which just means it'll automatically close and then reopen into a new upgraded proxy contract each time. So there should be a way, I would think, to incorporate a variety of different mechanisms. Like, let's say we could throw in, an NFT. Or quite frankly, we can do it relatively manually. We could just say, hey, this week it's also going to include X, Y, and Z, and then we airdrop it, or we, drop ship it, or whatever the case might be. If we can incorporate it into the smart contract, that'd be even cooler. But I think it's going to be tied to the decentralized exchange in and of itself. But very, very easy for me to airdrop an NFT, for example, or tokens, or insert X, Y, and Z. Maybe, hey, I'll say this here. We have a follow-up AMA with Spring. I didn't even announce this yet. So we have a follow-up AMA with Spring on Thursday. Their e-commerce platform is going live here. I think it's either ready to go live or just has gone live. So we should be getting some work done on our merchandise progress there. So that could be something fun too. We just drop ship something from a lottery standpoint in the future. That'd be a cool different sort of prize and a real way to, implement the lottery in a way that maybe is not being used across DeFi. All right, let me go through here, make sure we haven't missed anything thus far. 52 minutes in. Shout out to everyone here. Love it.
You know what? That's one thing, isn't it? It's just great to be able to have consistent updates. I mean, considering Friday we did an alpha AMA, and today we've got an alpha AMA. It's glad, I'm glad to see things moving. I think it's extremely great. A lot going on. I'm extremely excited. A lot happening. A lot being built, and don't forget that doesn't stop there. We've spoke many times about games coming and sports betting and stuff like that. We're still exploring other options. Obviously, we have to take time with certain aspects. Let's be realistic here. Can't just rush. But it's exciting. Very, very exciting. And I hope we've got, a lot more to come. But I think that's it, pretty much, Shib.
Yeah, let's go back through here, make sure we didn't miss anybody. If there's anyone typing, doesn't look like it. I think we've gone over everything. I know we had a lot to go over. So, highlights. Big updates coming to the contract. No longer going to be called a rebase token. New color scheme. Same PTX. Same daily APR. Same tokenomics. Minus the lower sales and buy tax. 4.8 now in the future. More efficient contract. No more of those 4 buys and sales. Sales built in every buy or sell on the DEX screener. All sorts of huge things coming. Lottery is coming. DEX is coming. I think the NFTs are going to be a huge hit. We didn't really go into those today, but quite frankly, just judging by the community reaction, I think the NFTs are going to be quite fantastic. So shout out to what's going on there. I freaking love the idea. We'll get some updated information put out on that. Hey, we might even get into the blog industry. So we could have a lot of big things coming, more for the community to engage with. Yeah, I love it. Miss anything?
Yeah, no, that's it. You make a good point, Shib. Actually increases the price for the PUSD holders. A great thing to implement. Yeah, no, of course, there's a lot of good things to implement, and everything is adding value to the core base of PTX, which is great. Has anyone been tracking the XShare wallet? You can see it has been built so far. So already $3,700 in the XShare wallet. Now, considering we've had very low volume in a realistic sense due to the high tax, I think that's great. I'm really excited to see what happens once the quote-unquote relaunch or enhancement, which is the better wording of it, happens. Hopefully that has a better impact, and if it doesn't, we're then able to, relook into reasons why maybe not. But I think Shib will agree, that will be coming to the close of the AMA. I think a really great AMA. If we have any updates, keep an eye out on the announcements channel. That's it, Shib.
Yep, I think that's it. So I just want to say shout out to the core team, shout out to the community team, shout out to everyone in the community here at ProtocolX. We just want to thank you again for joining us on this Alpha Monday AMA, which still is the acronym AMA. So love the new name. We will continue this again next week. Same time, same place here on Monday. I will be out of the country a little bit later in the week, but Brand will be taking over the voice side of things while I am gone. But I'll be in the text world as much as possible. I will be in Germany for Oktoberfest, so shout out to Hypnotoad. We're going to have a great times to are here. So if it's late in the day in Germany and I'm a little bit incoherent on the text, I could give you 2 guesses for why that might be, but that will not be until next week. So we will catch you guys throughout the week. Thank you all for joining us again here, and we will check with you again here pretty soon. Peace out, fam.